Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WWP, the World Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Reef, and everyone join me in acknowledging the ultimate needle mover, the man who's put up more social media numbers than any other online personality I've ever met. The man, the Sith, the legend, Darth Syro.
Oh my God. Welcome to the show. Thank you
Our
for that
tribal chief.
introduction. I thought for a second that you were confusing me with Roman Reigns. I'm so glad that it was actually an introduction just for me. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for that introduction, Reef. It was amazing. How are you doing today?
Man? You're the one that puts the numbers up. I'm looking. I see all the analytics, and you're the ultimate needle mover here at the WWP. You're our number one guy, face of the company, baby. Congratulations.
It just goes to show you that in the 21st century, people love to hear bullshit.
All right, man. Let's get right into it. We have a lot to talk about. I think the last week of wrestling that we've had has been riddled with a lot of tag team items, but we also have some more advancements in the Bloodline story, more advancements in the beef between Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton, and just a lot of working our way back, to championship contention and a championship switch. So we have a lot to get into. Go ahead.
Yes,
Let me know what you want to start with, brother.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And so let's start with probably one of the loudest storylines in the last, I would say, half decade, the Bloodline storyline. What we have happening right now is you have Jey Uso visiting SmackDown and telling Solo Sikoa to his face, the next time you see me, it's going to be different. And the next time that he saw him, it was different because Solo Sikoa and his bloodline cost Jey Uso his Intercontinental Championship. Was Solo wrong for this interference? Was it expected? What do you think about that? I didn't expect him to interfere, but man, was he wrong for interfering in Jey's title match, costing him the title?
Well, let me start by saying this, right? Jey Uso, he messed up, right? He messed up here. And the reason why I say he messed up was, number one, you're a championship title holder, right? Like, you hold a championship around your by your shoulder, around your waist, wherever position it's in, you're holding that title. Everyone and their mothers is coming for that title. So to kind of make more enemies, especially within your family, when you know they don't play that game, like Solo and his bloodline do not play that. Like, if you're not going to acknowledge him, you're an enemy of the tribe. So to create that enemy, I think he brought it upon himself. Was Solo wrong to interfere? I don't think so. He went in to help. As a matter of fact, he pushed Jey Uso out of the way and took a super spear for him. Which, side note, Braun's super spear not looking so super anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's. I feel like he's gotten worse at spearing people, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, he puts way too much into it, and then the guy just flails down. I don't know if he's not going for that power.
He's just high. He's not getting around the waist. He's getting around like the shoulders, and it's like ugly.
Yeah.
But the speed obviously is still gonna hurt. Regardless, that's besides the point. I just think that Jey is just not thinking clearly. He created another enemy for himself by not acknowledging Solo as his tribal chief. I think he brought it upon himself. Like I said, Solo was there to help as he took the spear for him, but then Jey goes and super kicks the Tongans. He held by his word. It was going to be different, and it was different, but that difference costed him his title. I guess my follow-up question for you is, does this mean that we're going to see Jey Uso join teams with Roman Reigns and Jimmy and reform the OG?
I was really, really hoping that they were not going to have, that Jey was not going to have himself lose his title that he just got, that he was going to stay laser focused.
Years.
Right? Yeah, exactly. If he was going to go over to the bloodline, I wanted Jey Uso to go. I told you last episode, I wanted Jey Uso to go over with the title, to bring the single prominence to that,
to the OG bloodline.
The OG bloodline. And you know what? Now that he lost the match, I'm like, are we seeing the Jey Uso of a few years back where he's at the height of his prominence having a tag team championship? I'm interested in him being in the OG bloodline. I'm not interested in the fact that he just lost the IC title that he so beautifully helped redesign to that nice ocean blue that I talked about before. That title's so beautiful. And now look, it's in the hands of, as I call him, the dickhead Braun Breaker. Come on. Come on,
it hurts.
Jey Uso.
It hurts. It's
You know,
for reign. But again, I
Yeah.
don't think he could blame anyone but himself. He created an enemy that wasn't there before. Solo wasn't targeting them. He went to SmackDown and just confronted Solo, and then just kind of created an enemy out of them. And then to go and super kick the Tongans right in front of Solo and everything, after Solo had taken a spear for him, it just feels it's not right. It's just not right to me. I don't like that. But again, I think it's kind of his fault. So it's interesting. We're gonna see whether he decides to join up with Roman and Solo. But joining with Roman, here's the next problem I have, and I guess my question for you now is gonna be: should Roman have acknowledged Solo as his tribal chief? Would that have solved all of this if he just simply acknowledged Solo as the tribal chief?
So let's get something really clear.
Yeah,
Roman Reigns acknowledged Solo. Now, some people think that was a sarcastic. No, it wasn't sarcastic. But you don't ask a guy to get on his knees when he does the acknowledgement. You just take the acknowledgement.
Solo didn't do that. Solo didn't do that. Solo asked him to acknowledge him as his tribal chief, not just say, he said, I acknowledge you, Solo. Are you happy now? I acknowledge you. Like, that's not real. Imagine someone said that to Roman when he was tribal chief, when he was face of the company. Roman would take that as disrespect. That's a disrespectful, sarcastic, almost patronizing way to acknowledge someone. And he didn't do it. And all Solo did was tell him, you're going to acknowledge me. And then the or else, I love that Solo did this, because Solo's he's not going to be a victim like the Usos were early on to the manipulation of Roman Reigns. Roman tries to manipulate people into thinking that he's all for them, and we clearly see he's all for himself. It's very clear and obvious now he's all for himself, because the moment that Solo said, acknowledge me as the tribal chief or else, he went into a furious rage. Or else what? Which is a great clip, but at the same time, it's like, dude, clearly, like Solo said, you haven't changed, and neither will I. Snap your fingers, bring the Tongans and Fatu out, and let's beat that ass.
See, I have a problem with that too. Because you have already issued the beatdown order on Jimmy Uso, and you didn't even know that Roman wasn't gonna do what you wanted.
That's a good point.
Or are you an asshole, Solo Sikoa, and you're going to press Roman, the schoolyard bully that presses the kid to say what he wants him to say, even though the kid already said 90% of it? Like, I feel like this is a situation where we're there. Solo was gonna press Roman no matter what Roman said.
Okay, but hold on. Counterpoint to the
Jimmy. He had Jimmy beat up already. He had that issued.
Yeah, so counterpoint to the Jimmy thing. Jimmy had already defied Solo multiple times. Jimmy was going to get beat down whether Roman acknowledges him or not. So Jimmy never did. So I think regardless that they were going to beat down Jimmy, like, sure, the order was done before Roman's decision, but I don't think it was relevant to Roman's decision. Jimmy has clearly made his statement, has made his choice to stand against this new bloodline.
Sure,
right?
That's an interesting point. But he did frame it.
I don't blame him for that.
But Solo Sikoa did frame it as a response to Roman not doing the full acknowledgement. So let me answer your question.
More of a sign.
Yeah,
more of a sign, like more of a warning sign. Like this is going to be you if you don't acknowledge me.
And you're absolutely right. Like, Roman Reigns would have done a shit ton worse 3 years ago. So I get it. I'm there. Let me answer. I'll tell you, should Roman have acknowledged Solo as the tribal chief? I say he did. And should he have? I think he did. But I think that the interpretation, I think he should have. He said whoever has the Ulafala is the tribal chief. Solo Sikoa was wearing the bitch around his neck, so it looks like he's the tribal chief. And I think
he just doesn't respect the tribal chief label. He just doesn't show any respect for it.
Sadly, I think Roman Reigns doesn't respect the tribal chief label unless he is the one who holds.
Right, it's an ego thing. And that's why Solo kind of saw right through the manipulative tactics, where he's saying we got to bring the family together, and it's broken, and we can do this to bring them together. Yada yada yada.
I hate to say
it. A manipulation tactic.
And I hate to say it, but you might be right. And I'll say this. I'll go a step further. I'll say, just like Roman used his ego to lift up the Usos when they were aligned with him, and they became arguably the best tag team, in the division at the time. You have Solo doing something with The Tongans right now, elevating them to the level of prominence that they can have the titles.
They're the only titles in the bloodline right now. They're the only ones that hold titles in the bloodline.
So are they the best tag team in the WWE? I don't know. You tell me. Who's the best tag team currently in the WWE? It could be Solo Sikoa's Tongans, right? It could be.
So we talked about this after their ladder match, their triple threat ladder match for the titles. Very surprising to see them win that match. I can't sit here and say that they're the best tag team. I mean, it's difficult to beat them because of the numbers game, because of the rest of the bloodline with Solo and Fatu, who are way bigger stars than them and way better at wrestling than them, that can come in and help them at any time to, fill in any gaps, right? Although they did win that ladder match without any help, so that's props to them. We got to give some respect to the Tongans there. They did show out. The best tag team in the WWE is tough to say because now we have two new teams that have somewhat new. The War Raiders are more so on a return, rebrand, if you will. And then you have the Motor City Machine Guns, who both of them looked very dominant in their performances. I am a little more impressed with Motor City Machine Guns because they looked very composed and dominant in a triple threat tag team, whereas the War Raiders kind of beat down arguably one of the worst tag teams in the entire business with the Alpha Academy. I love Otis, but I think Tozawa just really holds them back, so I'm not a big fan of that tag team. I feel like Otis needs to be solo. But you also have some former champions in this division as well. Like you have a DIY who are literally coming up to be number one contenders. I think they fight against. Is it against Motor City Machine Guns? I believe. They fight Motor City Machine Guns. They're gonna have that match, and then you're gonna have and then you also, like you said, you have like the New Day on Raw. There's a lot of good ones. I would say the Street Profits aren't gonna be up there because I feel like Montez Ford should just be a solo guy now. He's so effing good. Like, dude,
a lot of people have been saying that for a long time.
He 100% can make a run at the US title. He 1,000,000% can make a run for that for sure. He's like a more polished Carmelo Hayes in my opinion. And you know how I feel about Carmelo. I would say DIY is probably the best tag team in the business right now.
Okay, and I'm gonna stick with Fatu and Tonga.
Fatu's not the tag team champion. It's just a Tonga and Tonga.
Oh, sorry. They won that from DIY, but he gave it to Tongaloa.
Exactly,
why you know what? I must have missed that part. Why did Fatu relinquish it to Tonga?
He did it. It was by order of Solo, so that Fatu can be his enforcer. He can't be a personal enforcer if he has to defend titles week in and week out, kind of thing. So he took the title away, gave it to Tonga so he could be his personal enforcer.
Wow, Solo Sikoa making strategic moves with the gold.
Listen, he's a smart leader, dude. Solo's got a good head on his shoulder, despite what other people may think of him, which is why I really feel like the smartest move for both Jay and Roman, even if down the road you wanted to contest him for the tribal chief spot, it's to acknowledge him as tribal chief first and deal with it within the family later on down the road after business is taken care of. Get the family together and then make a move for it. But
so I don't love Tongaloa, but I love Tama Tonga. So I still want to say it's the Tongans. Yeah. But I think before it was Fatu and Tama Tonga because Fatu is just a beast.
I'll say this too: Motor City Machine Guns are if they can beat DIY, they jump up in that power ranking immediately. I mean, they looked amazing. They looked incredible in that match. And same with the War Raiders. I think if they can dominate a more prestigious tag team, I can view them and rank them higher a little bit as well. I kind of hold it against them that we haven't seen them for so long. And yes, they dominated a match, but it was against a tag that no one really cares for. And then of course, New Day would be up there if New Day wasn't so fractured at the moment.
I know, it's so sad to hear it, but we've talked about it so much. The New Day, I don't know. Did you see what R-Truth did?
Yeah, and then Xavier Woods keeping Kofi Kingston from helping R-Truth after R-Truth helped them win that match to become number one contenders. So to advance in the tournament to become number one contenders. To me, Xavier Woods is shooting himself in the foot, and he's not being a tag team partner right now.
I agree.
I get it. I get to an extent why he's doing it. He wants to focus on just them to bring some prestige back to that tag team, but Kofi is all about the relationships he has with people, and you're kind of pushing your tag team partner away, which is going to bite you in the ass. Even if you're right in what you're doing, you got to kind of bite the bullet here a little bit and help the teammate out be who he is. And he's the kind of guy that goes there and helps others out. Like he's the guy that holds his buddies down. And it's weird from Xavier Woods because Xavier Woods has always also been the guy that defends the good people, like R-Truth, like Jey Uso. When they're getting jumped, they'll be out there to help out. And it's just a completely different side of Xavier Woods now. That's why I don't feel comfortable putting them up there as one of those best tag teams out there.
I get it. I can get that. So
it's like when you push your teammate away. Like obviously, I guess I feel like it's coming up to a one-on-one between Kofi and Xavier Woods. Like it's gonna boil down. It's gonna keep boiling, and they're gonna explode, and they're gonna fight each other soon, and it's gonna be heartbreaking to see. But I can't see it not happening at this point.
Yeah, I hear you.
Speaking of turning your back on a former partner, I know we've talked about this quite a few times, but obviously one of the most interesting, I would say, one of the most interesting backstabbing, if you will, I guess, of tag teams. The Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens feud is really picking up some steam. Randy Orton is pissed. I mean, he is like absolutely beyond himself. I think Kevin Owens is suspended. I don't think we've gotten an official word on KO, but Randy goes up to Nick Aldis and is demanding a match at Crown Jewel against Kevin Owens. He does not want Kevin Owens running from this. He wants to beat down Kevin Owens really, really badly right now. Kevin seemingly has no more friends in the industry at this point. Do you think that Orton will get his one-on-one with Kevin Owens at Crown Jewel? Do you think that there is going to be a suspension, or will it be lifted, or is there...
Did you happen to see... Suspension? Did you? I do think that they are going to fight at Crown Jewel. I don't. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if we have to get there this coming week because Crown Jewel is November 2nd. So for our listeners out there, right, make sure you tune in on that Saturday. But I will say that you see the Kevin Owens video defending himself, his actions against Orton and Rhodes. Okay, so I think what you're seeing here is, as I said before, the mastermind, Randy Orton, setting up Owens to become the victim that turns and goes crazy and flips. Rhodes as the target of that, right? And himself as the not so interested bystander who's there to do what he needs to do to try to rectify things. But at the same time, I think he's right there in the background. He is just leering, waiting to strike. We know he's the Viper.
Wouldn't you think that Randy Orton would want Kevin Owens suspended so he's out of the picture and he has that kind of straight shot towards Cody Rhodes?
I think that Orton I think Orton is using Owens's feud with him, the idea that Owens has flipped to defend, quote unquote, what the honor of Rhodes and Orton, what the good guys are doing, because Owens is being a bad guy right now. No. I think Orton is setting it up so that he can come out looking good, only to wait for that perfect moment when Cody Rhodes thinks everything is fine.
And what do you think that perfect moment will be? Like maybe not like a date, but like what situation would be perfect for Randy to strike then?
Remember 1 year ago when Randy Orton returned at Survivor Series War Games. So I want you to pay attention to whatever's going to happen at War Games. With Rhodes, I need you to expect that Orton's going to be part of that. Randy Orton turns his back on Cody Rhodes at War Games and costs him something. I don't know what that something is, but it's something, and it's going to be piss Cody Rhodes off, and it's going to show Randy Orton's true colors. That's my opinion. You can book that.
Hey, listen, Cody Rhodes, you got to be ready for that. When you're a champion, there's no one that's really your friend. I said this about Jey Uso. That's why I said you don't want to make more enemies than you already have. All eyes are on you. So Cody Rhodes, you better be ready, man. I kind of like where that's going. If that happens, awesome. That would be cinema right there.
I think it's going to have major title implications because I think Orton has already went for the World Heavyweight. We talked about it before. Now it's going to be, I think he's going to want to, I believe that's his intention right now. Go for one more big title run. He can still do it, I think. So let me ask you, speaking of title run, did you see Gunther be approached?
The Ring General.
Yeah, the Ring General. Did you see him be approached by El Campeon, or at least the former El Campeon? This Monday on Raw, did you see how how calm Damian said,
Oh,
it's
dude,
going to
he's
be time
locked.
for me to become El
He's
Campeon
locked in.
again.
You know what I
So
love
does
about Damian
he?
Priest?
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he become the champion?
Remember what I told you last week when I said
Mm-hmm.
that there might be only one guy on the roster I think that can really take that title away from Gunther, and
Mm-hmm.
that is Damian Priest. Dude, he's so locked in. I love that he goes up to him. He's like, I don't need no handouts. I'm gonna get it back. I believe he's gonna get his shot with him. Do I think he's going to beat Gunther? I can't say that. I would never predict Gunther losing. I will happily be wrong or not happily, I'd be still upset. But I'd rather be wrong about the prediction than predict that he's going to lose, because Gunther's always going to be my favorite in any match he's in. He is the best wrestler in the business right now. The best world heavyweight champion of all time. The Hein General Gunther.
I love that you say that. I really do.
But hey, listen, it's gonna be fun. I think this is the exact match that I want to see. Now, we also got like a little teaser of Braun Breaker, talking his way up to the world heavyweight. However, now he's got the IC title to worry about, so that's out the picture for now.
Mhm.
But I love just the idea of this is gonna be the feud that we see going for the world heavyweight championship. Damian Priest has built his way up when he won that world title. It's usually the opposite way. You got to build your way up and then get a chance at the title. But
Yep.
he kind of won the title with the Money in the Bank and then worked his way up to being a respectable champion, right? He beat Seth Rollins. He beat Seth Rollins. He beat, who else did he beat? In that world, he beat
Gunther or Damian?
no, Damian. Damian beat Seth Rollins. He beat Drew McIntyre. He beat who else did he beat in his defenses? He's defended it quite a few times. He defended it quite a few times.
Damian Priest defended, I think, at one point in almost every single PLE for a while before it was the Terror Twin situation.
Yeah, and then he just about beat Gunther if it wasn't for Finn Balor as well. So we've already seen him kind of beat Gunther, almost. Very close.
And don't forget, he successfully cashed in the Money in the Bank, right, to win the World Heavyweight Championship.
Right. And then he beat Drew McIntyre again, albeit
in
with
Scotland,
albeit with the
his home soil.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, beat Seth Rollins. So you kind of get this. We really just get what we should have gotten immediately, but Priest was obviously a little busy. But we should have gotten a rematch between them immediately. And we're finally getting back to it. I think he 100% deserves it. I don't think he has to work for it. I think he deserves and has earned a title shot right away for it. However, let's see him work. I love that he just goes right into it. I'm going to earn it back. I'm going to beat whoever I got to beat, and I'm going to get my chance back. Love to see that.
Yeah, what did it take him, like a week and a half to just pivot and say, you know what, I'm going for it?
He handled business. But let's not forget, the Judgment Day hasn't taken their eyes off of Priest yet. He might have taken his eyes off of them, but they haven't taken their eyes off of him. Finn Balor is clearly upset about the idea of Damian Priest going back for the World Heavyweight Championship. So we can fully expect them to get involved in some way, shape, or form at some point there.
Finn Balor always acts as like a bitch. Like he's always mad about something. Just man up. You look like a toothpick with abs.
I think Adam Pearce has to get involved here. I know that he is, because he's setting up this tournament for the tag team titles. He's got to give them something to do. They have nothing to do but mess with Damian Priest right now. They haven't done anything. When was the last time we saw them defend their titles? It's been weeks, if not months. Like, it's crazy. We haven't seen them defend them at all. So I think it's time for our general manager, our Raw general manager, to step in and give them stuff to do to keep them away from Damian Priest, so he can get a good shot at this title. Because, like I said, Damian Priest feels like the only guy. I also mentioned one other guy that might be in the same conversation as Damian Priest is the only guys that can compete with Gunther for the title. But it's Seth Rollins. It's your man, Seth freaking Rollins, the visionary, the revolutionary.
Yes, sir.
He's got his handfuls. Now, Raw was an absolute movie because of him. This dude comes out into the ring after beating down Bronson Reed, runs out to the ring. You want to be famous? Come out here. I'll make you famous. Come on. Seth Rollins is the man, dude. Do you think Seth Rollins puts Bronson Reed away at Crown Jewel? I feel like it's important for him to do that so he can go back to chasing a title. Do you think it happens at Crown Jewel?
I hope he stomps his head into the ring steps again, just like he did at the match when he got payback, just like he did at the last Monster Standing match when when Bronson was facing Braun Strowman. I want to see that again at Crown Jewel in front of that audience. That's going to be fantastic. I think Seth Rollins does put away Big Bronson Reed. I think Seth Rollins comes out on top and then realigns his vision to what he needs to follow, which is, I think he goes after the World Heavyweight Championship, just like you were just saying. He is worthy of it, and he could do it. But I'll tell you the funniest thing.
Beating Bronson Reed kind of catapults you because Bronson Reed's been on a tear. So that does kind of catapult you back up into that convo for sure.
Absolutely. I will tell you the best part of that was actually the funniest part, which is when the table was awesome. But it was when Adam Pearce pulled them apart and said, "What are you guys, idiots? Did you think I wasn't already going to make a match?" And they're like sitting there and they're like irate. They're about to rip each other. Yeah. And he's like, "You guys got your match." And I was like, that was pretty easy. Adam Pearce making the right calls.
The funny thing about that was Adam Pearce literally told Bronson Reed that the match is off if they lay hands on each other before then. And they literally did the exact opposite. Bronson Reed told him, "You're going to give me the match no matter what." And he proved himself right. I think Bronson Reed is very smart. I think people are underestimating Bronson Reed in this match. Yes, Seth Rollins I think is better. But Bronson Reed is on this destructive path. Should have won that last Monster Standing. Of course, the interference helped a ton. Well, it was the only reason Braun Strowman won. Yep. But I don't think that this ends at Crown Jewel. And the reason why is because even if you beat Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel some way, somehow, he's not going to stop. He's coming back and going back and back and back and back. He doesn't give. He's being very relentless right now. You have to put him on the shelf. So he can't just beat Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel. He has to do what Bronson Reed did to him. He has to shelve Bronson Reed to make sure that he has a clear path to a championship. And I don't think Seth Rollins is going to be able to do that. So that's why I don't think this ends at Crown Jewel. I don't think he can do that. But I do want to highlight what I think was the best moment was the table quite literally exploding when Bronson Reed landed on the announce table within the first minutes of the show. They didn't have an announce table anymore.
Yeah, I love that.
Dude, the side panel of the table literally popped into the air, like 10 feet in the air.
What was that? Was that a tsunami off of the
yeah, it was a tsunami off the barricade.
The barricade, yeah.
That is table, and it just exploded. And that's the kind of force you're dealing with. And that's why I find it kind of hard to believe that you're gonna put him away at Crown Jewel. Like I said, you gotta shelve him. You gotta do so much damage. And if this is a sanctioned match, this is a no holds barred match. As far as I know, I mean, maybe we get some changes to it before then, because we do have a Monday Night Raw before this. You know, the next coming Monday Night Raw on the 28th is before Crown Jewel on the 2nd. So on November 2nd, so we will have a Raw appearance. So maybe they make a stipulation. Maybe something happens there where they make a stipulation that's gonna be no holds barred or street fight or what have you. But that Seth Rollins can do enough damage to put Bronson just going away after this.
Yeah, I love the take. We've got 2 SmackDowns and 1 Raw, as you alluded to before that. WWE Crown Jewel is streaming live Saturday, November 2nd, 1 p.m. Eastern, on Peacock in the US, at 10 a.m. Pacific. To our audience, please drop a comment. Let us know. Does Rollins put Reed away fully, or is Reef correct? And does he have to go a couple of rounds before he could put someone like Reed away? Took Braun Strowman a few rounds. So let's see what happens. I'm excited about it.
And also, please feel compelled to answer any of the other questions that we posed during this podcast. Comments are open. We would love to reference some of these comments and maybe some bonus segments in the future. So definitely leave a comment on these about any of the topics that we spoke about.
Thank you for that. Being that this is the theme of this episode is that this is the tag team episode. It's all
the theme of
about
WWE right now.
The tags. Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing the tag division come back in full force. So before we move into the next segment, I'm going to ask our audience ahead of time. We're going to talk about what Reef might believe could potentially are the best tag team champions of all time. And no spoilers just yet. But we would like to know, out of the list we're going to list, And out of the remainder of the tag team champion, who,
There's
in
a
your
lot.
opinion, who is the best tag team champions of all time in the WWE? I would love to know that. Now,
I want to preface this before we begin that I
Yeah.
was born in 1995, so forgive me if some of the I don't know what teams he's gonna name, but forgive me if I don't know who they are and I just rank someone that I watched better than them. You can go ahead and leave the comments, you old heads. Go ahead and let me know how wrong I am.
The good thing is about us old heads is we know that before about 85 or 90, the amount of tag teams just were not that much, and the division was just not that loud. So there was a few big ones, like
I didn't miss
The
out on
Rock's
much.
dad. Yeah, like The Rock's dad. You had a couple of
Wild Samoans.
you had a couple of big teams, but the division wasn't as fully fleshed out.
Right.
So around the time when you started watching, probably as a youngster, you had these few tag teams that I'm going to list up until what we have today. So let's do a rapid fire. We're going to go in order, and I'm going to just fire off one team versus another. The team that wins is going to go against the next team that I bring up. So
Got you.
Let's get started with two very easy ones. The world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin.
Oof, that's a throwback.
Versus the worm executing Too Cool with Scotty Too Hottie and Rikishi. Remember when Scotty Too Hottie would do the worm?
The worm and Rikishi.
Who's better?
Dancing. Oh my god, dude! Listen, I loved Shelton Benjamin. I think he was superiorly underrated to most people. I'm gonna go with Too Cool, Scotty Too Hottie.
Too Cool.
That's my man. The worm was my thing. I used to practice the worm all the time.
And what a great theme song, too. All right, Too Cool versus Eminem. And for those that don't know who Eminem is, that's Joey Mercury, Johnny Nitro, and Melina at the time. So that was Mercury, Nitro, Melina. That's the MNM.
I'm gonna say Eminem just because of Melina. Just because of Melina, dude. I
had
love
the leg
Melina.
split thing.
The leg spread on the fucking
yes,
dude. Oh my god, Melina, yes.
I tried the leg spread thing one time, and I haven't recovered since. That was 20 years ago. All right, so so you're gonna go Eminem over Too Cool. Now I feel like this next one's easy. Eminem versus Edge and Christian.
Oh come on, Edge and Christian by a mile. By a mile. Super mile. They might win the rest of this. Edge and Christian was incredible.
Ladder matches and stipulation matches that comprised my entire childhood, if not my middle school time as well. All right, Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys. 3D.
Okay, so we got two hardcores. And I would say that the Dudley Boys had the better tag team move, but I'm going to go with Edge and Christian.
I think some of our audience might be surprised by that. Okay. ENC, Edge and Christian versus, I would argue, their greatest rivals of all time, the Hardy Boys.
Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, next. Me and my brother were Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. That was Matt.
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys all the way, baby.
Boys is okay, who's better, Hardy Boys, Jeff Hardy or Matt?
Matt.
Matt is nasty. Yeah, I agree. I like Jeff's shtick, though. I really do. Fun fact for our audience members, Jeff's sleeves are made of long children's socks that he cuts holes out of and doubles up to change the colors of them. And that's how he gets his ring gear on the cheap, just so you guys know. All right, Hardy Boys versus the Usos.
Oof, the Usos are there, man. Listen, Usos, yeah.
Generational difference.
I love the Hardy Boys, but the Usos were the more dominant champions. I don't think anyone's dominated the tag team realm like the Usos. I think I'm going to go to the Usos with this one.
Wow.
I can't think of anyone that's dominated the tag team division more than the Usos have.
Holy shit. Okay, the Usos are so far the number one tag team champions of all time, according to this list. Last one on the list, the Usos versus the New Day.
Yo, I'm actually stupid because I just said the Usos were probably the most dominant tag team champs of all time. The New Day were like tag team champions for like 400 consecutive days, dude. Those guys were tag team champions forever. That's as close as it gets. I'm gonna go. It's neck and neck. I'm gonna stick with the Usos, man. I love them.
I appreciate that you said that
personal bias.
That's okay because the Usos hold the record for the longest male tag team championship reign in WWE history at 622 days. Matter of fact, on the WWE shop, they sell a tag title that is commemorating 622 days of their reign, and I believe it's still sold to this day. WWE, please cut me my check. I will tell you that that I can respect your ranking, your standing, but I think the Usos, as dominant as they were, you've got some real powerful numbers of teams in there. Rather, the Hardys are big. The Hardys are a big one, and New Day another big one. But I'll tell you, I can respect the Usos all day, every day, and I think anybody listening can as well. So with that being said, to our audience, tell us, who's your greatest tag team champions of all time? Let us know.
And that is all we have for today, guys. We appreciate all of you for listening. If you like the content, go ahead and like, follow, comment, subscribe on all the platforms we have available. We'll have them linked in our link tree. And with that, Cyro, I'm going to let you have some closing words.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 6, the tag team episode. We will see you all very soon.
And now give me the hashtag, baby. Hey, we love you guys, and we will see you next week, baby. Remember, for all things WWE, we only trust the WWP. Good night.